Dr. Geeta, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Please turn on your mic and the virtual stage is yours.
Hello, Salia. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm gonna try to share my screen so I can begin my presentation.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Saliha, can you see my presentation, please?
Yes, ma'am. Your presentation is visible.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ghita Ibrahimi, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at AI Explain New Science. And I'm very glad to be upon you here today to discuss such an important subject, which is AI teaching assistants. This subject is important because AI is increasingly entering education not only as a general chatbot but as a specialized teaching support system. AI teaching assistants are designed to help teachers, instructors, students by automating repetitive tasks, giving instant feedback, personalizing learning, and supporting students outside normal classroom hours. So this presentation will explore what AI teaching assistants are, how they work, what they can do in schools and universities, which tools are currently used, what risks they create, and how educators can use them responsibly. The central idea is that AI teaching assistants should not be understood as replacements for teachers. They are better understood as support systems that can extend the teacher's capacity, reduce repetitive workload, and help create more responsive, personalized, and efficient learning environments. So, why this topic matters now? Teachers and teaching assistants are facing increasing pressure. Their responsibilities often include lesson planning, classroom teaching, grading, answering students' questions, preparing material, adapting content for different levels, communicating with students or parents, and tracking learner progress. So AI teaching assistants are becoming important because they respond to several major educational challenges. Teachers have limited time, but students need more individualized support. So students often need help outside class time, especially when studying alone. So classrooms are diverse with different levels, learning speeds, languages, and accessibility needs. So instructors need faster ways to identify students who are struggling. Schools and universities are expected to prepare these students for a world where AI literacy is becoming essential. So several educational AI platforms present AI teaching assistants as tools that automate routine work, provide personalized support, and help teachers focus more on meaningful human interaction rather than repetitive administrative tasks. So, what is an AI teaching assistant? It is a software system that uses AI to support educational tasks normally performed by teachers, instructors, tutors, or human teaching assistants. It can use technologies such as natural language processing to understand student questions, machine learning to analyze students' performance, generative AI to create explanations and learning materials, and learning analytics to track progress and identify learning difficulties. So, unlike generic chatbots, an AI teaching assistant is usually designed for educational workflows. It may be connected to a course syllabus, maybe lecture notes, rubrics, assignments, learning objectives, or a learning management system. This makes it support more relevant to specific learning contexts. So an AI teaching assistant can therefore answer questions, generate resources, give feedback, support grading, suggest activities sometimes, adapt content, and help teachers monitor learning. So, what's the difference between an AI teaching assistant and a traditional educational software? So, traditional educational softwares often follow a fixed pathway. It gives students exercises, check answers, and moves them to predetermined levels. The students mainly learns from the software, and the teacher often monitors data afterwards. So AI teaching assistants, however, represent a different model. They are more flexible because they can respond to open-ended student questions, generate different explanations, adapt feedback, and assist teachers in designing or improving instruction. When it comes to traditional tutoring software, they usually follow structured pathways, gives limited responses, and focuses on pre-built exercises and may reduce teachers' role to monitoring. However, when we talk about AI teaching assistants, they can respond flexibly to questions, support teacher-led instructions instead of limiting it, generate differentiated materials, provide feedback and analytics, and help the teacher make instructional decisions. The most important difference is that AI teaching assistants are not simply learning apps. They are tools that can support the whole teaching process before class, during class, and after class. And you can see the difference here when we talk about traditional software and then AI assistant software. Here in Morocco, we have what we call Moodle. But I'm not really aware of the traditional softwares in Pakistan. So, how does these AI assistant work when it comes to understanding students' questions? So, the first technical layer is an AI teaching assistant has the ability to understand students' input. So, when a student asks a question, the system does more than match keywords. It tries to interpret the meaning of the question. For example, if a student asks, why do we have to simplify fractions? We talk about like lower level. The AI must understand that this is not only a calculation question. The student is asking about the purpose of simplification. So, a useful response should explain that simplified fractions make comparison and calculation easier. I think this is what ChatGPT does mostly. A strong AI assistant may analyze what concepts the student is asking about, whether the question is conceptual or procedural, the student's level of understanding, the current topic of the lesson, previous mistakes, and the best type of response. This is why natural language understanding is central to AI teaching assistants. It allows them to respond in a way that feels more like educational support than a simple research results. So, we talked about understanding students' questions. Now we're going to move to scaffolding and differentiated responses. So, after understanding the student's question, this AI teaching assistants must decide how to respond. So, good educational support is not the same for every learner. Here is why we talk about personalization. Some students need a short definition, others need a concrete example of and step-by-step guidance. It depends on the student level, if it's beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Um, Now we talk about learning analytics. So AI teaching assistants do not answer questions. They can also collect and analyze the learning data. So as students interact with the system, the AI can track which questions students ask more often, which concepts are repeated, how many attempted students need before answering correctly, whether students ask follow-up questions, which students stop engaging, which students improve over time, and which misconceptions appear across the class. So the information can then be summarized for the teacher. For example, the AI must say or show that many students are confusing numerator and denominator, for example, or many students are misunderstanding a writing rubric or repeatedly asking about one part of an assignment. That can show the, the teacher where these students are mainly struggling. For the core functions of an AI teaching assistant, the first one is that it can help answer students' questions in real time. So it's one like of the most visible role of an AI teaching assistant. In a traditional classroom, one teacher may have like 20 to 30 or more students. So when several students need help at the same time, some students wait, lose motivation, stop working, or even stop asking. Um, in higher education, students may study late at night, and they have no help. So an AI teaching assistant can provide an instant clarification of concepts step by step to support students in their assignments and responses. In higher education, for example, some AI teaching assistants can be trained on specific courses, materials, such as syllabus, lecture slide, and rubrics. This can make them useful more than generic chatbots like ChatGPT. The second core function is grading and feedback support, because grading is one of the most time-consuming tasks for educators. You can spend like the whole night or like 2 days, 3 days correcting and grading. So AI teaching assistant can support grading by applying rubrics, checking objective answers, analyzing writing, giving draft feedback, or identifying common mistakes. Third core function is lesson planning and content generation. AI teaching assistants can help us teachers create instructional material more quickly, because like creating the content of a course might take like hours and hours, especially when you create like the whole course. So instead of starting from a blank page, teachers can ask AI to generate a draft and then adapt it to what you want to do in your course, activities, and so on. We're not saying that this assistant will replace the teacher roles. No, the teacher's role remains essential. The AI provides a draft, but the teacher verifies accuracy, checks alignments with objectives, and adapts the material to the classroom context. The fourth core function is personalized learning. Personalized learning means adjusting instruction to the need, pace, and level of each student. So AI teaching assistants can support this by analyzing students' performance and recommending different resources or activities. When we are in a class, as I said, of 20, 30 or more, especially in Moroccan universities, we have hundreds of students in the class. You cannot do what we call personalization. But with the help of these AI teaching assistants, we can manage as teachers differentiation at scale. As I said, especially in large or mixed ability classrooms. The fifth core function is supporting diverse and inclusive learning. So AI teaching assistants may also support inclusion by making learning resources more accessible. They can offer multilingual explanations. For example, here in Morocco, we study in French. But for some students who cannot read in French, maybe we can develop an AI teaching assistant that speaks in Darija. Darija is or Arabic, so it's can stop struggling with with the content of the courses. However, inclusion also requires caution. So AI systems can reproduce bias, misunderstand student needs, or provide inappropriate recommendations. So if they are not carefully designed and monitored, this can lead to more bias than good. So therefore, AI should be a part of a broader inclusive teaching strategy, not only the support system. That's why we need to explain to students that you cannot not rely on AI 100%. I was talking earlier on AI teaching assistants in every level, so now I'm going to focus on higher education. In universities, AI teaching assistants have specific roles because courses can be large, students are more often independent, and instructors may have limited time for individual support. So that's why these assistants can answer questions about course content, explain lecture concepts, help students interpret assignments and structures, and so on. So a key difference in higher education is that AI teaching assistants may be trained on the exact course materials and can respond using syllabus readings, rubrics, and so on. So the best choice is not simply chat with AI, as we all do with ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. The best choice is a course-aware assistant that supports students while remaining aligned with the instructor's goal. So, student support beyond chat. As we talked about, we are not simply chatting with AI. This assistant should not be reduced to chatbots, as I said. A chatbot answers questions, but a teaching assistant can be designed to support a wider learning process. It can guide students through problem solving, help them reflect on mistakes, generate practical activities, recommend resources, identify the repeated confusions, escalate problems to the instructor or the teacher, and provide feedback before the final submission. So, used responsibly, AI can help institutions shift from reactive support to a more proactive support. We talked about students, but since we're talking about AI teaching assistants, we should talk about the benefits for the teachers and the instructors. So, as I said, the first major benefits is time saving. We can, as teachers, reduce time spent on repetitive routine tasks, such as drafting lessons, preparing quizzes, activities, and so on. These are activities that takes time. So, if I have a tool that may facilitate this task for me, this would be great. So the second benefit is instructional focus. So when AI handles the repetitive tasks, I may spend more time on higher value activities such as explaining difficult concepts, mentoring students, leading discussions, supporting emotional needs, and so on. The third benefit is visibility. So it can show me the differences between students, the beginner, the intermediate, and the higher level students. The fourth benefit is consistency. So applying AI, the same rubric criteria across many submissions, although teachers still need to verify the fairness in the context. So as we talk, we should use AI with caution, even for teachers. Um, so categories of AI teaching assistant tools. Uh, they are not all designed for the same purpose. Some tools work mainly as student tutors, while others are designed for lesson planning, grading, feedback, differentiation, classroom analytics, or content generation. So for this reason, it is more useful in this presentation to classify AI teaching tools by their educational function rather than just listing them as AI tools. Okay, so the main categories are student support, teacher support, assessment, analytics, and differentiation. The first tool I'm going to talk about is Camigo as an AI tutor and a teaching assistant. This is an AI powered tutor and it is designed for both teachers and students with a strong focus on guided learning rather than just giving direct answers. So it have its uh, uses for students and for teachers. Its educational value is mainly to support independent learning while keeping students cognitively active. So it can help them in mathematics, science, writing, humanities, coding, and other subjects. So, for example, if a student is struggling with algebra, you can ask Camingo for help instead of just giving the solution immediately. The AI asks what the students already know, suggests the first step, checks the student reasoning, and give them a hint when the student gets stuck. We also have Magic School AI. It is built specifically for schools, teachers, students, and districts. Its main role is to help teachers save time and improve classroom preparation. It focuses on planning, differentiation, assessment, communication, feedback, and student support. We also have School AI. It is designed around an interactive learning environments called spaces. So a space is an AI-powered learning activity created or selected by the teacher. So students enter the space and interact with an AI assistant while the teacher monitors the progress. We also have Brisk Teaching. It's an AI-powered education platform that works mainly through a browser extension. Its key advantage is that it lives where teachers are already work in the browser, websites, documents, videos, and online resources. So it's mainly integrated. We also have EdCafe. It's an AI toolkit designed to transform AI into practical classroom resources. It includes tools for slide generation, custom AI chatbots, flashcards, teaching resources, quiz generation, as I said earlier, grading, reading activities, and lesson planning. We have great scope. So, as it's named, it's an AI teaching assistant tools focusing mainly on assessment and grading. We have EduSage AI. So it's an AI supported grading rubrics, writing feedback, and teaching flows. We have also DFIT. It is commonly used by teachers to create differentiated reading materials. So its main purpose is to help teachers adapt content to different reading levels and produce student ready resources from a topic, article, or source text. Here is a table where I prepared a comparative view of all these tools. You can check it afterwards when I'm gonna send this PowerPoint. So, however, we need to have like critical discussion on how what these tools have in common. So, although these tools are very different, they share several important characteristics. First of all, reduce teachers' workload. They support personalization. They increase the speed of feedback. They depend heavily on teacher supervision. They raise ethical and practical questions because schools must consider data privacy, student safety, academic integrity, bias, transparency, and equitable access to these AI assistant tools, because there are, for example, here in Morocco, people don't even have internet. So how they can access these AI assistant tools? There is no equity. So a practical classroom scenario to using this AI teaching assistants in a real lesson. So can we imagine just that we are in a middle school science teacher preparing a lesson on photosynthesis, for example, for mixed ability classroom. So the class includes advanced students with weak scientific vocabulary, multilingual learners, and students who need more time to understand abstract concepts. Sorry. So before the lesson, the teacher uses an AI teaching assistant to prepare the material, to create the lesson plan, and so on. So during the lesson, the students begin with the same central question: how do plants make their own food? So students does not all receive the same support. Some students ask AI for basic definitions, others ask for examples, and so on. So at the same time, the teachers or the teacher will follow the class through a dashboard. So the AI identifies the several students are confusing photosynthesis with respiration, and so on. So the role of AI as teaching assistant can be divided into 3 moments: before class, during class, and after class. Before class, it supports preparation, activities, and assessment. During class, it's mainly student support, analytics, and monitoring. And after class, it's gathering feedback, performance reports, and follow-up actions. So teachers benefits in this scenario: it's time saving, better differentiation, real-time insights, faster interventions, and improved learning. However, the students benefits in this scenario: it's immediate assistance, a personalized explanation, additional practice, active learning, and increased confidence. However, the teacher's control here remains essential, because even in a strong classroom scenario, risk remains. The AI may give an incomplete or inaccurate explanation. It may oversimplify scientific concepts. It may fail to notice that students are copying answers without understanding. It may give sometimes feedback that sounds correct but does not match the teacher's learning objective. So that's why the teacher must always remain in control. So, to conclude this section, we must talk about the risks and limitations of the AI teaching assistants. I spent all these 3 minutes talking about what the benefits of AI for students and for teachers, but we need to talk about the risks. First of all, one of the major risks includes hallucination, bias, overdependence on these assistants, privacy concerns, academic integrity issues, loss of human connection with the teachers, and unequal access. The thing is that some people have the ability to use these AI assistant tools, but others don't. So, using an AI in education requires clear rules. Teachers, students, schools, universities, all the stakeholders need to know what is allowed, what is not allowed, and how to use these AI. So the best practices for implementing these AI as teaching assistants should be introduced gradually and intentionally. First, schools should pilot the tool, start with one course on one class. The teachers and the students should be trained on these tools. Schools should monitor and improve the usage of these tools, and best practices include never relying blindly on an AI input, whether it's an AI assistant tool or an AI tool like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. So we should never rely blindly on an AI tool. So, to conclude my presentation, I may say that AI teaching assistants are becoming a major part of modern education. They can answer, as I said, students' questions, personalize learning, generate material, support grading, and so on. So, their value is strongest when they are used as assistive educational tools, not as a replacement for teachers or human teaching assistants. Sorry. So the main conclusion is that AI teaching assistants can improve education not only if they are implemented responsibly. So they need teacher supervision, clear policies, privacy protection, bias monitoring, and student AI literacy. So the final message is AI teaching assistants are powerful, yes, but their success depends on how educators design, supervise, and humanize their use. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear audience, this is a great opportunity to interact with our speaker. If you have any question, please feel free to share them.
This session is very informative and easy and accessible, and thank you so much.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghita Ibrahimi, for this insightful and engaging session. It is a truly matter of great pride to hear from you as a valued member of AI Explain Your Science Research family. Your session on AI teaching assistant was extremely informative and inspiring. Your insights on how AI can support educators, enhance teaching methods, and improve student learning experiences were truly valuable for all of us. Dear audience, we hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you for your active participation. We look forward to see you in the next part of the summit.